Welcome to Sydney, Australia. My name is Alan Menezes. I'm the founder of the Pilates Institute of Australasia. I've been in this business for almost 20 years and introduced the Pilates method to Australia in 1986. Due to an increased demand for support programs outside the studio, I produced a book in 1998, The Complete Guide to the Pilates Method from Lower Back Pain to Muscle Conditioning. This book is now the basis of a series of 4 videos which I'm really excited to bring you, based from lower back pain, the basics, the intermediate, and the advanced routines. This program for lower back pain is designed for those who suffer from chronic and mild lower back pain. It is not designed for those who suffer from the acute stages of any pain. As with any exercise program, consult your practitioner before starting this regime. Right, so let's talk about the postural aspects and the implication on back pain. We have Joe and Brooke, who've got a lot of experience with severe back pain in the past, who will be doing our demonstration for us. As we go through the exercises, there will be tips appearing on the screen in order to assist you to do the exercises correctly. So, when talking about posture, what we'd like to do is get Brooke to face me and Joe to turn around. And look at the shoulders when we first start, to look at the neck area, the shoulder area, the lower back, the knees, and the feet. So from this angle here, we can actually see whether there is a lordosis in the neck area, in the cervical area, a kyphosis in the thoracic area, or another lordosis in the lower lumbar area, and whether there's also a hyperextension of the knee area. When people generally tend to stand around and move, they generally tend to hunch their shoulders. And with the shoulders hunched, you can see the effects on the neck. Very, very tight in the neck area. So relax the shoulders and make sure that the shoulder blades are pressed towards the hips at all times, while keeping the neck area long and tall. Okay, if we can turn again to the front and to the side. What we're going to start working on from now is the posture. So your posture actually comes from your feet. So if we have a look at the feet area here, what we're looking at is whether the arches are fallen or not. And if the arches are fallen, what we have to do is correct this. So when we're actually standing, we need to stand on 3 points of the feet, which we call tripods. And the 3 points of the feet are the ball of the big toe, the entire outside edge of the foot, and the center of the heel. And stand with equal pressure on those 3 points. Okay? So when you're standing with equal pressure on those 3 points, what you will actually find is that you're creating arches where your arches should be. And when that happens, you may feel a shift in back pain, a reduction in back pain, in fact, and there could actually be a shift in the hip area so the hips are more relaxed and comfortable. The next area we go into is into the abdominal area. The abdominals should remain as flat as possible at all times. So keep drawing the abdominal muscles in as hard as you possibly can to the spine. And now try and take a breath in for a 5 count. We'll go into the breathing in a minute, but for the time being, we'll just take a deep, comfortable breath in for a 5 count. If a 5 count is too much, bring it down to a 4 count. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sigh out of the mouth, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, the breathing is always breathing in through the nose and sigh out of the mouth. Never hold your breath and never blow, because when you blow out, take a breath in and blow out. And as you blow out, you actually can notice that the neck starts to tense up. So always sigh out, it relaxes the neck and shoulder area. Now, keeping the abdominal muscles drawn in, take another breath in for a 5 count, and you may find that the breathing is actually quite restricted when you're holding your abdominals in. The reason for this being that when people normally breathe, they breathe into their stomach. So relax your postures, and you'll find that the stomach lets go, as you can see in both cases. And what we would like to do is to keep the stomach in. So when breathing, people generally tend to breathe very comfortably with the stomach hanging out, with what we call breathing into your stomach, really. So when you hold your stomach muscles in, your stomach supports your spine. So when the abdominals are drawn in, it supports the back. Your stomach is your second spine. So we really need to make sure that the abdominals are firm to keep the back supported. So when holding the stomach in, take a breath in. And if the breathing is restricted, then what we have to do is change the breathing, because the intercostal muscles around the rib cage tend to tighten up a little bit. So this time, breathe into the upper back. Breathe into the shoulder blades. So take a deep breath in again, keeping the abdominals drawn in, and a deep sigh out. And once again, take a deep breath in, and a deep sigh out. And you'll actually notice that the breathing can become a lot easier, right? It sort of opens up your breathing capacity a bit more, because there's an entire section in the upper back where you don't realize you can actually breathe into. So this huge area that allows you to breathe better even while the abdominals are pulled in. Now, the abdominal area is an exceptionally important area when dealing with support for your back. The back is always supported with good, firm abdominal muscles. Your stomach is also known as your second spine. It's the powerhouse of your anatomy. This area here is exceptionally important because the lower abdominals support the lower back. Most people, when they pull the abdominal muscles in, are always drawing the muscles from the mid and upper section towards the spine. And they never really get into the lower abdominals. So you can do hundreds and hundreds of crunches every day and still find that you've got back pain because you can't get to the lower area down here, which corresponds to the lower back area for pain. Now, what we're going to talk about now is a thing called the B-line. This is an area of the body which people never get to work effectively. It is actually a line that we draw from the top of the hip bone here to the other side, and generally people tend to find that this area is not an area that they can effectively work in as well as they would like to. So if you could turn to face me, Joe. Now, the B line is actually, as I mentioned earlier, a line across from hip bone to hip bone. We call it the B line because you draw your stomach in behind the line of the hips. So if we draw a line from one hip bone to another and go back to the center, now draw your stomach muscles in as hard as you can at that point there. Now, can you feel that working?
Yep.
When was the last time you felt it working like that?
Never.
Long, long time ago. So keep that drawn in, but you're not tucking under, you're not changing the shape of the body in any other area, and you're not squeezing your backside. This is very important because squeezing your backside actually can contribute to more back pain. This is not easy to handle at first, but if you draw in and keep the backside relaxed, that will eventually happen. If you find it difficult to figure out what the B line is, we can say for women, draw that as a bikini line and draw the bikini line behind the hip bones. For the men, if you think of it as the belt line, and draw the belt line behind the hip bones. Okay? So, keeping that drawn in, now take a 5-count breath in through the nose, and a deep sigh out of the mouth. And another breath in, and a breath out, keeping the B line there for the rest of your life. This is very important. You may find that the breathing is still a little bit more restricted. You may even find that there's a reduction in back pain, and in some cases a mild increase in the tension in the back, only because the lower back muscles, which are exceptionally tight, don't want to let go. And as you B-line, those lower back muscles stretch, and as a result, they feel a bit of discomfort initially. This will go away as time goes on. Right. Now, if we can swap places, so I can now pick on Joe. And talking about posture, a lot of people stand in a very lazy manner. So what we'd like to do is for everyone to stand with their hands on their hips. Now, when you're standing with your hands on the hips, most people stand like this. In body language terms, it's an aggressive posture. So what we'd like to do here is when standing with the hands on the hips, you notice there are several factors here that are out of position. Namely, the lower back is arched, the abdominals are sticking out, the quadricep muscles are tight because the pelvis is rotated forward, and the shoulders are hunched. So from standing with this type of posture with the hands on the hips, you actually find that there are 4 detrimental positions to your body. Tight quadriceps, loose abdominal muscles, a tight lumbar area, and a very hunched, tight shoulder area. So notice where the thumbs are in most cases. The thumbs are on the top of the hip bones. This has the tendency to push the pelvis forward. We'll exaggerate this a bit more. It pushes the pelvis forward, so the backside sticks out, and these tighten up more. And for men, this particular posture is a very locking mechanism around the hip joint area for them. So let's try and get rid of that. Drop the hands by the sides, draw your beeline in, and you'll find that there will be from this position a mild tuck because of the beeline, but you're not actually trying to physically tuck. Keep the beeline in there, relax the shoulders. Now when relaxing the shoulders, the shoulder blades should be pressed to the hips, and the ribs and the hip alignment from the sides should be as tall as possible. So whenever you're standing, sitting, or lying down on your back, always try and maintain the side distance, the lateral side, the distance between the ribs and the hips should be as tall as possible with the shoulder blades pressed to the hips. Let's start the exercise program, and keep in mind, as with any exercise program you undertake, that you must check with your practitioner first before attempting any of these exercises. So, starting with the standing roll, slowly curling forward, breathing out as you curl down, and if you start to feel the back at all, gently bend the knees. So it's a deep breath out, going down as far as you comfortably can, holding the position for the breath in, and breathe out as you come up, and use that beeline to come up. So draw the abdominals in and slowly curl up, breathing out, using the stomach muscles. If you feel the hamstrings overstretching, don't go down so far. Remember the pain scale? You want to go down as far as an 8, but never into a 9. So breathing out as you curl forward. If you feel any pressure in the back, any stretch that you feel uncomfortable with, bend the knees. Take a breath in and breathe out as you slowly curl up. As you can see, in the case of Brooke over here, the knees are bent because of the back tightness. So again, slowly curl down, breathing out. It's a deep sigh out, keeping the knees comfortably bent, the shoulders relaxed. Hold for the breath in, and then beeline before you come up into the movement, breathing out as you come up. Taking a breath in at the top of the movement, and one more time. Take a breath in and breathe out as you curl down. Keeping your beeline, keep the shoulders relaxed, the chin comes to the chest, letting the hamstring stretch, letting the lower back stretch. Hold for the breath in and breathe out as you slowly curl up, beeline before you come up, and a deep sigh out of the mouth. Okay, let's get into the start stretches. So if we'd like to take our positions. It's exceptionally important to start stretching the back muscles whenever you're doing any exercise program prior to doing anything strenuous. So we start off with loosening up the lower back by sitting in a diamond shape. If the back slumps, so tighten the legs, heels towards your groin more, and you'll find that the lower back stretches out too much. So what we'd like to do here is bring the feet away from the groin, because it's exceptionally important that the back is always safe. So keep the back in an upright position. If this position still is uncomfortable for the spine, take the legs further out. Stretch both arms up into the air, as tall as you can. Take the hands down the back as comfortably as you can. In some cases, if people have some neck pain in this area, what we will then do is cross the hands on the chest, and then we'll start the exercise. So taking a breath in without moving, breathe out and curl forward, the chin to the chest, the chin to the rib cage, and the nose to the beeline. You're still holding the beeline. Take a breath in without moving, breathe out, and slowly curl in towards the beeline again. Keeping in mind that when you're breathing into the upper back. Hold for the breath in, breathe out, and curl forward again. Hold the position for the breath in through the nose, and a deep sigh as you curl forward, nose to beeline. Keeping the neck and shoulders relaxed. If your shoulders are hunching, just let them drop slightly. Another breath in, and again a deep sigh out. And slowly straighten up into a tall position, lifting the ribs away from the hips, as tall as you can. Relax the hands by the sides, and extend the legs out in front of you. For those of you, again, who've got a slump in the lower back, keep the knees slightly bent, and the feet are pointed. Again, the hands are up to the ceiling, hands down the back or the hands crossed. Keeping your beeline, breathe out as you curl forward. You should feel the hamstrings working here and a stretch in the lower back. The other area where you may feel a stretch is across the shoulder blades. That's okay, as long as you're not feeling any pressure going up into the neck area. If you do, keep the shoulders relaxed to the floor. Taking a breath in again, in through the nose. Don't hold the breath at all, and a deep sigh out of the mouth as you curl in. Hold the position for the breath in, and again, a breath out, drawing the beeline in. Hold for the breath in into the upper back, and a deep sigh out as you curl in. And gently straighten up again, lifting the ribs away from the hips as tall as possible. Stretch the hands up and relax down by the sides. This time, flex the feet. And what we mean by flex is press through your heels as hard as you can. This should increase the stretch in the hamstring. Once again, hands to the ceiling, hands in position, and again, curl forward. The ribs are coming to the hips, the chin to the chest, and the nose to the beeline. So you're not changing the position of the lower back. The lower back area is always staying as tall as possible, and there is no lean out of the hips. Taking a breath into the upper back, a deep sigh out of the mouth for a 5 count as you curl the nose towards the beeline. Hold the position for the breath in, and breathe out as you curl forward. It is a good idea to try and hear yourself breathe, simply because you will get the habit of breathing deeply that way. So keep breathing as deeply as possible and hear yourself breathe, a deep sigh out of the mouth. And straighten up again, comfortably lifting the ribs away from the hips, keeping the beeline, relaxing the hands, and bending the right leg up to the side. This leg should also be comfortable, where the back does not shift and the hips do not shift. Keep the left foot flexed, and the hands in position again. Hands up to the ceiling, relax the hands into position, and again curling in. Once again, the stretch should be felt either in the lower back or across the shoulder blades and in the right hamstring. The left knee is comfortably open to the floor. Another breath in through the nose for a 5 count, and a sigh out of the mouth for a 5 count. Another breath in through the nose for a 5 count, and a sigh. As the exercise gets easier and the hamstring starts to stretch, you can then gently straighten the leg until this knee touches the ground. Straightening up again, breathing in, lifting the ribs away from the hips as tall as possible, relax the hands, and change legs. Hands to the ceiling for a stretch of the spine, hands in position, and again, beeline, curl the chin to the chest, chin to rib cage, nose to beeline, and breath in into the upper back. Deep sigh out as you curl the nose to the beeline. Hold the position for the breath in. Breathe out, curl forward again, pressing through the heel, still as comfortably as possible. Hold the position for the breath in. Breathe out, curl forward. And hands up to the ceiling again, straightening up. Relax the hands by the sides and extend the legs out in front of you. So, just to recap on this one, whenever doing the stretches into the sitting position, make sure that the ribs are lifted away from the hips as tall as possible. The legs are as extended as far as possible, so that the knees are as flat as possible to the ground. The beeline is always held. The neck and shoulders are always comfortable no matter what position you're in. If the neck does tense up, relax the shoulders. Okay, we'll go into the next exercise, which is the hamstring stretch. So if Brooke can get the toner. When lying on the back, it's also a good idea to make sure that your head is comfortable, either on a pillow or on a cushion. Okay, if we place the foot into the toner and extend the leg up as far as possible, once again, where there is no effect in the back whatsoever. So keep stretching the leg. How does that feel?
Fine.
Okay, and slowly keep stretching. As this leg gets straighter and it still becomes a comfortable position, then this other leg can extend down to the floor as well, making sure that the hips are square and the right hip of the leg being stretched is also pressed into the floor at all times. If the shoulders are hunched, bend the elbows slightly, and every time you breathe out, you want to get more of a stretch by bending the elbows. And what we'll do is get Joe to show us a standing hamstring stretch, placing the right leg on the box, and gently getting your balance as well. Flex the foot, place the hand on the knee, and gently leaning forward with a straight back. So we've got to make sure that the back is absolutely straight. If the back starts to tense up in the lower back here, then we bend a little bit. If there's tension in the upper back, we can round a little bit. So keeping the hips absolutely square. It's very important that we follow a 3-point stretch system here. Press the hip into the floor, press the hip, same hip, on the right leg slightly backwards while pressing through the right heel. It's extremely important to get the stretch because it really works into the hamstring proper. What we'd like to do is, if it is too tight in the hamstring, bend the knee very slightly. So breathing in through the nose for a 5-second count, and a deep sigh out of the mouth for a 5-second count. And as you sigh, lean the chest forward, but not downwards. Keep growing tall as possible out of the hips when stretching. Take a deep breath in. How does that feel? And a deep sigh out as you lean forward. As this gets easier, then we can take the leg higher. Okay? The stretch is generally done 10 breaths in and 10 breaths out. Then we change legs and go into the next leg. Okay? And if you can change. Keep in mind, wherever your eyes go, your body follows. So Joe, if you can look up to me, and you'll notice that the back also lengthens up. So whenever stretching, always look up. Never look down, because then you start to bend down. So keep your eyes up and lengthen the body, lifting out the chest. And as I mentioned, if the back tightens up, just round it slightly. Taking a breath in without moving, keeping the shoulders square, and a deep sigh out. It's extremely important to make sure that the foot is also flexed to get more stretch, but if you do feel it more behind the knee, bend the knee. The next stretch is for the quadriceps, which are the ones which tilt the pelvis forward too much, and we want to lengthen them up so we can actually loosen up the lower back. So let's get into position. Again, Brooke will be demonstrating for those people who are very tight in the lower backs, and Joe for those who have got a little bit more give in the thighs so they can actually stretch a bit more. So coming up into position, placing the hands on the knee to start, and now let's get the hand on the buttock of the thigh being stretched. So in Joe's case, the right hand on the right buttock, and placing the other hand with the fingers just above the pubic bone. Keeping the shoulders relaxed, keep a lean forward of the torso, which actually lengthens up the back and opens up the lower back, and then a tuck of the pelvis. This is not a thrust, and it's not a lunge. It's a small tuck of the pelvis and should get an enormous stretch, up to an 8 or a 9 level even out of 10 on the front of the thigh. How does that feel?
Yep, good.
Taking a breath in without moving, and a deep sigh out with a tuck. Okay, as you can see, there is no lean of the body. It's only a hip movement. Breathing in, and a deep sigh as you tuck. The same with Brooke. It's a press down of the buttock and attempting to draw the pubic bone up towards the navel. If there is any pressure in the knee whatsoever, don't do this exercise. Again, taking a breath in without moving, a deep sigh out on the tuck.
Change.
One more breath in, and one more breath out. Not so fast, Joe. I know it hurts. We're going to go into the next one now. Okay, change legs. Place the hands on the floor. The foot should also be comfortable on a piece of padded chair, will do. Taking a breath in. So hands in position, the hand on the buttock of the thigh being stretched. Breathing in without moving, and a deep sigh out. Keep looking upright and lean the shoulders forward more so that the back lengthens out. And another breath in, and a deep sigh out. With the hand on the buttock, make sure that the hand is actually placed on the buttock below the bone level. If it's placed above the hip bone, you can actually push into the back and arch the back. So it's important that the hand is actually on the buttock for the tuck. Trying not to round the shoulders too much. One more breath in, and a deep sigh out. Okay, relax, placing the hands on the floor to come out of the position. And let's go into a pelvic curl. So we can move the box over for Brooke. Lying on your back with your head up at that end. This time there is no cushion underneath the head, as there is little tilt of the pelvis. If the neck is extremely arched, then we will place a flatter cushion underneath the head. Okay, and relax. Right, now the pelvic curl is literally a very, very tiny curl. So it's a breath out with a little bit of a tilt, as much as that. Taking a breath in as you imprint your spine back down onto the floor. And in Joe's case again, breathe in, breathe out as you tilt, drawing the hip bones towards the rib cage. Breathe in as you lengthen the spine away from you. Breathe out as you curl the hip bones to the rib cage. So you're shortening the distance here. Breathe in as you lengthen the hips away without allowing the back to arch. Another breath out. And another breath in. Keeping the abdominals firm at all times. And again, curl the hips towards the rib cage. And slowly release, keeping the abdominals in control. And one more. Breathing out as you curl the hips towards the ribs. And slowly down. Just to recap here, if there is any pressure at all in the back, don't curl up so high. And slowly go down. As this exercise gets easier and the back loosens up, then you are allowed to go up a little higher. If you do go higher, take the cushion away from underneath the head. Okay, we'll go into the next exercise, which is a preparation exercise for the abdominals. We'll switch cushions here, so those people, again, who have more severe pain in the back should have a triangular cushion, and this should be a comfortable position, either a triangular cushion or high pillows. Right. Joe can have a small flat cushion, as he's actually going to be moving his neck. Draw the knees up towards the chest. Keep the hands on the knees for the time being, and gently extend the arms away from the body, just off the floor. Take the arms up to the ceiling for a breath in, and breathe out as the arms come down towards the sides. Once again, take a breath in and breathe out. Now, in this instance, there may not be an extreme amount of abdominal work going on. So what we're going to try and do is to get the abdominals working by drawing the ribs towards the hips on the breath out. Breathing into the ceiling and draw the ribs to the hips. As this exercise becomes a bit more effective, you can actually bring the knees away from the rib cage and slightly up. This will work the abdominals even more. And as we keep going to the next version, you can then lift the head gently forward, breathing out, and a slow breath in to relax. And a breath out, drawing the ribs to the hips and keeping the B-line, breathing in and releasing. And one more, breathing out, breathe in and release, and relax. Bending the knees to the chest. And relax. The next exercise that we're going to go into is the hundreds. The preparation is vital for the hundreds because it actually gets the abdominal muscles going. So when we go into the hundreds, let's get the hands towards the knees, hugging gently so you can actually get a little bit of a stretch in the lower back. And now extending the arms forward again. Bringing the head forward by drawing the ribs to the hips and extending the legs into the air as comfortably as possible. In Joe's case, you can straighten the legs fully and flex the feet to give more of a stretch into the hamstrings. In Brooke's case, the knees are slightly bent with the knees above the rib cage, because if the knees actually drew away from the rib cage, your back would arch. Breathing in for a 5-second count, and a deep sigh out of the mouth. A deep breath in, and a deep sigh out. If the neck starts to strain, we can rest the head back onto the cushion. If the back starts to strain after several breaths, either raise the legs higher or bend the knees slightly and continue. Keep the B-line as much as possible, and the shoulder blades, if at all possible, in Joe's case, should be as high off the bench as possible without the rib cage lifting above the level of the hips. This is extremely important. Okay, and bend the knees to the chest, hug your knees, and relax. The next exercise is the single leg stretch. So drawing both knees up towards the chest, keeping the right hand on the right ankle, and extend the left leg into the air. Okay, changing legs, breathing in, and when changing legs, place the left hand on the left ankle. And again, breathing in as you change, and breathe out as you stretch. As you'll notice in Brooke's case, she's actually drawing both knees back before extending the one leg out. This is in cases of severe back pain or even medium to severe back pain. In Joe's case, his abdominal muscles are very strong, so he can do this exercise with the shoulder blades lifted off the floor. If there is any neck strain, place higher pillows underneath the head. If the back starts to strain after several exercises, raise the leg higher into the air. And again, breathing out as you stretch, lengthening through the toes, breathe in as you change legs, keeping the ribs to the hips and working on the B-line. Breathing in on the change and breathing out on the stretch. Breathing in, bend both knees back towards the chest and both knees back and relax. We'll now go into the double leg stretch. A little bit more of a difficult exercise. Once again, keep the head propped up if required, if the neck is straining. Extend both arms down by the sides. Extend both legs up into the air. Breathe in and take the hands up to the ceiling. And in Brooke's case, bring the hands straight down, and in Joe's, a circle around. Bend both knees back towards you and relax, hugging the knees to the chest. Again, arms forward, head forward, legs up, breathe out. Breathe into the ceiling. Deep sigh out as the arms go into the circle or forward. Bend, breathing in, relax, hug the knees, and again breathing out. Press through the heels as much as possible, breathing into the ceiling, keeping the knees bent if there's any pressure in the back. Breathe out on the reach forward, and relax, breathing in. And one more. Breathing out, drawing the ribs to the hips, breathing into the ceiling, and breathing out to the sides. And relax, hug the knees. Let's just recap a couple of the points on this exercise. Make sure that the head is always comfortable, so that there are cushions placed under the head, as in Brooke's case. In Joe's case, if the neck starts to strain, then we will place more cushions underneath the head after several repetitions. If the legs start to waver and lower, try to keep them higher or bend the knees to keep them closer to the chest, so that the stomach muscles are continuously working. The next exercise that we're going to do is the single leg circle. So placing both legs on the ground, place the right leg up into the air. In Brooke's case, the hand is on the knee because the leg, if it is too tight, and the hamstring will start to pull on the back. And it's a small circle around, breathing out and breathing in. Breathing out, breathing in. So imagine the stomach is actually attached to the leg. Pull the stomach in to raise the leg, lengthen the stomach to lower the leg. Pull the stomach in to raise the leg, breathe out, and stretch the stomach muscles. If you can't feel this exercise working, it should actually be working on the inner thighs. Place the fingers onto the inner thighs and press the muscle against the fingers to allow the leg to get more connection on the inner thigh. If the opposite hip starts to lift off the ground, place the hand on the hip to keep it stable. And change legs. That's it, rest the leg on the ground, take the other leg up into the air. And again, breathing out as you lower the leg, breathe in as you raise the leg. Breathe out as you lower, keeping the fingers dug into the muscle, breathe in as you raise, making sure that the B-line is constantly working, deep sigh out, and a deep breath in. The back is always flat in this position. And then we change direction. So breathing out as you go down, breathing in as you come up. Breathing out, flatten the abdominals, breathe in as you raise. Breathe out as you lower, keeping the fingers pressed into the muscle. And last one. And change legs to do the other direction on the other leg. Fingers into the muscle, hand on the hip to stabilize the hip. Breathe out as you lower. And breathe in as you raise. Keeping in mind not to lower the leg too far down. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathing in and a deep sigh out. The neck and shoulders should be comfortably relaxed at all times. And one more circle, keeping the B-line working all the time, and relax. Okay, we'll now go into the perfect abdominal curl. The perfect abdominal curl is actually a stomach crunch in the old term, and we're actually now working to get the ribs towards the hips. Most cases when you do an abdominal crunch, as people do in the gym, I'll get Joe to demonstrate what we normally see in the gyms. Place the hands behind the head and do the normal crunch that you see in the gyms. So this is the type of movement that you'll actually see working in gyms all the time. Okay, relax, we don't want to do that too much. Okay, placing the hands behind the head, this is the best way to actually do an abdominal crunch. And what we'll do in Brooke's case is to actually get her legs up onto a triangular cushion. The reason for this is that while the legs are rested on the cushion, there is minimal use of the hip flexors in this position, so that the stomach actually has to work independently of hip flexors. The cushion is a triangular or a high-shaped cushion with the legs rested on top. If the cushion is too far away, that could arch the back. So, with Brooke, we also have the hands crossed on opposite shoulders so that there is no neck strain. Now, what brings you forward into the abdominal curl is drawing the ribs towards the hips as close as possible while scooping the stomach without straining the back of the neck. So, breathing out as you slowly curl forward, drawing the ribs towards the hips. Breathe in, return only 10%. And breathe out, curl forward. Breathe in, return only 10%. And keep going. Deep sigh out as you come forward. We have a saying, if you're not toning it, you're flabbing it. So if you rest in between each repetition, the muscles release and they contract, they release and they contract. So in actual fact, we want to keep them working all the time so you can feel the muscles constantly under work. Breathing out as you curl forward, breathing in as you release 10%, breathe out, curl forward. Now notice Joe's knees, the femur is at about approximately a 45-degree angle, and take your feet further away this time, and balance on your heels. Toes up towards you, as high as you can, and keep working. Breathing out as you curl forward. Feel that more?
Yes.
So the actual abdominals will work a lot more when the feet are flexed. 2 more repetitions, breathing in, and sigh as you curl forward. Breathe in, and relax. In the stomach stretches, we'll be using both the arms and the legs to alternately work to strengthen up the back area. So, lifting the right arm, just slightly off the ground, breathing out, and making sure that you're beelining all the time. Change and lift the other arm. Breathe in, change, and lift the right leg, just slightly off the ground. Breathe in, change, and lift the left leg. And once again, breathing in and changing. And breathe out as you lift the right arm. Breathe in, change, breathe out, lift the left. And keep continuing, making sure that the abdominals are drawn in by using the beeline. And in Brooke's case, she's got a pad underneath the hips in order to keep the back from arching considerably. Breathing in and changing, breathing out and stretching. Trying to keep that beeline working all the time. It's a deep sigh out, and the shoulders are never hunching. The shoulders are still pressed towards the hips. Lengthening through the toes without lifting very high. One more, breathing out on the lift of the arm, lengthening through the fingers. Breathe in, change, breathe out, lift without hunching the shoulder. One more on the leg, breathing out as you lift, lengthening through the toe. Breathe in and sigh. And relax. And we're going to come now into the cat stretch. So, up on the hands and the knees, keeping the back as flat as possible. And this time we're going to actually draw the hips towards the ribs, rounding the back into a C curve to the ceiling. Breathing in as you release, lengthening out the spine in a straight position. Don't let the back arch at all. And breathing out and draw the hips to the ribs as much as possible, with the chin drawn towards the chest. Breathe in, lengthen out the spine as long as possible. And again, breathe out and tuck. Draw the ribs to the hips, still working on the beeline. Breathing in, lengthen all the way through the spine, through the neck, through the crown of the head, and breathe out as if someone's pulling you up by your lower back to the ceiling. Breathe in as you release. Use the abdominal muscles here, use the beeline, and breathe out, draw the hips to the ribs using the beeline. And then comfortably sit back into a rest position. Hands by the sides in Brooke's case, and just allowing the back to stretch and relax. Gently pressing the tailbone in towards the heels while the upper back remains relaxed. Maintaining our bodies in great condition is of importance to all of us. Through this series of videos, we hope that we have been able to help you in reducing the stresses of daily living and improving your well-being. Through this end, we hope that you can reduce your risk of injury and improve your performance. My name is Alan Menezes from the Pilates Institute of Australasia.